Hey you, cut in the mood for a pour? Today we are pouring something very close to my heart. This is the moment I introduce you to my favorite Saint-Genis champagne. The bottle I reach for without thinking. The one I can never get enough of. Meet my very bestie, Ruinart Blanc. From that classic 18th century bottle shape the house has honored for centuries, to that pale golden color, to that delicate mousse that rises like a quiet promise. Everything about this creation deserves your attention, and by the end of this episode, you'll be able to score it on Grape Composition, tasting, profile, history, price, and how it fights in its weight class. Welcome to Sip Me Maybe, the channel where we swirl, sip, and spill the truth about what's in the glass. I'm Julia, a sommelier and wine educator with strong opinions and soft spot for a good pour. I'll share what I'm tasting, what I've discovered, and you are always welcome to share what lights up your palate. Friend to friend, let's take this one from grape to glass. Today we are pouring Ruinart Blanc, a pure Chardonnay beauty dressed in that iconic rounded bottle inspired by 18th century craft. It's all elegance, no theatrics, and my mission today is simple. See if its calm, steady confidence can talk you into another sip and perhaps a standing appointment in your fridge. Let's step back to 1729, the year Ruinart became the first official champagne house. And like all great champagne stories, it begins with a monk. For more insight into Champagne's origin, check out my full Champagne history episode where Maison Ruinart had its own spotlight, including the deeper meaning of chalk caves and why they matter. Dom Terroir Ruinart, a Benedictine scholar, recognized early that sparkling wine wasn't a fleeting curiosity, but the future of French luxury. His nephew, Nicolas Ruinart, took that revelation and built an entire business around it. The twist? The Ruinarts weren't in wine at all. They were in fabric. Champagne became as a chic, thoughtful thank you gift to clients, and apparently those gifts were so exceptional that customers started caring more about the bottle than the bolts of cloth. Imagine pivoting your entire future because the freebie won the popularity contest. By 1735, the cloth trade was in the rearview mirror, and bubbles officially became the family legacy. Ruinart's identity is carved literally in chalk. The ancient chalk cuillers beneath runs, now officially UNESCO listed, are more than cellars. Their geological time capsule, carved by Romans, later claimed by champagne makers who understood their potential long before science caught up. UNESCO recognition essentially places them in the Global Hall of Fame, honoring not only their history but the role they played in shaping Champagne as we know it. Some of these chambers plunge nearly 40 meters underground, held at a naturally cool, silent, unchanging temperature. Step inside and the air feels still enough to hear your own breath. It's the kind of place where time stretches. Wine is allowed to sharpen, settle, and evolve in absolute peace, a sanctuary of patience carved into stone. The cellars don't just store champagne, they define it. And the bottle? That rounded silhouette isn't some trendy design, it's a modern echo of 18th century, the era Ruinart was born into. It's not chasing new shapes or trying to look clever. It carries its history the way someone wears a perfectly tailored vintage piece, effortless, confident, and quietly saying, I've been iconic longer than you've been paying attention. And that clear glass, it's not an accident. Ruinart insists on it so you can actually see the color of their creation. Pale gold, the clarity, the purity that comes from Chardonnay done right. Where other houses hide behind green bottles, Ruinart puts its craft on display. No camouflage, no gimmick, just heritage, intention, and incomparable taste. Ruinart Blanc isn't one village Chardonnay, it's a mosaic of crus. Across Champagne, the Côte de Blanc is prized for its pure chalk soils and south-facing slopes that catch the sun just enough to ripen Chardonnay while keeping its tension razor clean. The chalk acts like a natural refrigerator, reflecting light, draining water, and locking in that citrus-driven precision Ruinart depends on. The Montagne d'Orange brings structure because its vineyards still higher and face multiple directions, catching cooler winds. Here, Chardonnay grows with a firmer backbone, not heavy, just quietly decisive, thanks to deeper chalk and pockets of clay that add grip. In the Côte de Sézanne, the soil shifts to clay-rich chalk with warmer exposures, giving the grapes a little more sunlight and a touch more generosity. This is where the rounder, riper fruit comes from, the softer edges that balance the Côte de Blanc's tension. And the Velvelet is chosen for its sheltered sides and mixed soils, which allow Chardonnay to ripen evenly without stress from wind or extreme temperature swings. The result is that smooth, subtle texture, the finishing brush stroke that makes the whole blend feel complete. And when you blend vineyards that bring tension, structure, generosity, and softness, you get that exclusive Ruinart equilibrium. Chardonnay is so balanced, it feels less manufactured and more composed, like fine art. Each element has a purpose, and together they create the unmistakable Ruinart signature. Ruinart's flagsmanship is study in intention. Stainless steel keeps the profile crystalline. Full malolactic fermentation rounds the edges without dimming the brightness, and 25 to 30 crus layered with thoughtful reserve wines. From its quiet depth, 2 to 3 years on lease adds texture without weight. This Ruinart Blanc is riddled by gyro palette, precise, consistent, and essential for the flawless clarity. Their clear glass bottles dares you to admire. Hand riddling is reserved for Dom Ruinart Blanc, where heritage still guides each measured twist. A precise dosage seals the composition, keeping it firmly in elegant brut territory. This is Champagne built with architectural finesse, deliberate, restrained, effortlessly polished. Ruinart Blanc is exactly what it says, 100% Chardonnay. No Pinot, no Meunier. Just Chardonnay in all its French restraint. It's a multi-cru, multi-vintage blend sourced primarily from premier cru villages, with reserve wines layered in for stability and finesse. This is the house style, distilled in its purest form. On the nose, this Champagne opens with a freshness that immediately draws you in. Bright, lifted, and quietly expressive, notes of lemon zest and grapefruit oil set the tone, followed by the white peach and ripe pear that softens the edges without weighing anything down. A touch of pineapple adds a subtle warmth, and the white florals bring the delicate lift. Then there's that airy, chalky minerality, the kind that feels like the sky right after a summer storm. Clean and open, it's fresh and elegant, beautifully poised without ever tipping into perfume. On the palate, the Champagne feels fresh and inviting, bright but never austere, which is exactly why it's one of my absolute favorites. The mousse is silky, almost weightless, rounding everything out with a soft, effortless lift. Flavors of lemon, citron, pear, and white peach open the conversation. Then comes the chalk backbone, not sharp, not demanding, just a quiet line of minerality that keeps the wine centered. A gentle brioche note drifts in towards the end, warm and subtle, the kind of detail you notice only when a wine is truly well made. Finishes long, pristine, and confidently composed, the kind of finish that reminds you why you reach for this bottle again and again. Let's step beyond the predictable and into the pairings that reveal why this Blanc de Blanc is built the way it is. Salt and vinegar, kettle chips. High acid meets high acid. A bright, bracing pairing that feels surprisingly refined for something you can eat out of a crinkly bag. Artichoke lemon risotto. Artichoke derails most wines, but Ruinart stays composed. Its tension and minerality cuts straight through the bitterness, while the citrus mirrors the wine's own clean profile. Crab cake lattice cups. Keep the citrus bright, keep the herbs fresh, and let Ruinart do the heavy lifting. The chalk backbone slices through the richness and lifts the crab into something almost weightless. Grapefruit, avocado, and hazelnut salad. Bitter, creamy, nutty, the Bermuda Triangle for the wine pairing. Ruinart navigates it effortlessly because its structure is built on clarity, acidity, to lift the grapefruit chalk, to tame the avocado, and Chardonnay finesse to complement the hazelnut's warmth. Ruinart with Ruinart, because sometimes the most honest pairing is the second glass of the same bottle. Let's reveal the sip score. Grape Composition. Pure Chardonnay sourced from 25 to 30 carefully chosen crus across the Côte du Blanc, Montagne d'Orange, Cézanne, and Velvalet. It's a masterclass in balance. Tension from chalk, generosity from warmer slopes, structure from altitude, softness from shelter. A blend built like architecture, deliberate, precise, beautifully proportioned. Why not 100? It's designed for harmony, not singularity. Wines like Salon or Krug Clos du Menil hit 100 because they come from one vineyard, one vision, purity that can be replicated in a multi-cru blend. Tasting profile. Fresh, lifted, elegant without perfume. The mousse is silky and weightless. The citrus is bright without cutting. The chalk backbone firm but never austere. White peach, ripe pear, lemon zest, a hint of pineapple, and a late, well-behaved brioche whisper. A profile that feels composed, refined, and quietly magnetic. Why not 100? Ruinart chooses finesse over deep analytic richness. A 100-point profile belongs to long-age icons like Dom Pérignon, Plénitude 2, or Boulanger, Ricemaine des Gorges, where years on lease create layers of honey, nuts, and toast. History and legacy. The oldest Champagne house, a visionary monk, a family that accidentally invents the most successful thank you gift in business history. UNESCO chalk cathedrals, 18th century bottle silhouette, 3 centuries of continuity. This is the definition of unshakable legacy, a flawless 100. Why a perfect score? Well, no house can out history Ruinart, full stop. Price versus quality. At $85 to $115, it lives in the considered luxury tier, and it earns that space with real craftsmanship. Extended lease aging, reserved wines for depth, stainless steel purity, and a style that remains unmistakably Ruinart. It's not inexpensive, but it delivers what you're paying for: clarity, poise, and pedigree. Why not 100? It's excellent value, but not the shock value still of Louis Roederer Collection or Gaston Chiquet, which deliver Grand Cru energy at weekday prices. Fights in its weight. This wine holds its ground with serene authority. It doesn't compete loudly, it wins by being unmistakably itself. Against its peers, it consistently overperforms through polish, structure, and restraint. Why not 100? It shares the podium with growers like Agrapa and Pierre Petit, those whose laser-focused chalk expressions make them the quiet dominators of this tier. Final average, 95.2. A luminous, chalk-edged Blonde Blanc with kind of balance and elegance that feels less manufactured and more artfully made. This is the bottle you keep returning to, not because it's loud, but because it's timeless. In a world full of showy bottles and loud labels, Ruinart plays the long game. It doesn't need fireworks or theatrics. It wins by simply being the bottle you trust, the one that never disappoints, never overwhelms, and always lands exactly where it should. And with that note, we can gently set this one on ice and call this journey complete. Because while you can't put the cork back in the bottle of champagne, you can savor the moment it gave you. I'm Julia, and this was Sip Me Maybe, the place where every glass has a story and no sip goes unnoticed. Sip wisely, and I'll see you the next pour.